I will.
All right, you're being recorded.
Oh, okay. Don't want to be like those school board folks in
That's
California.
right.
That was that was very, very strange. So, okay, well, welcome everybody. Hopefully, we'll get some more folks clicking in here. This is the M&A Forum, the February version on the 23rd. Really appreciate everybody. I know it was quite an exciting week here in Houston and in Midland and almost anywhere in Texas last week. So Herculean effort to get everything back and up and running here for the meeting this month. I appreciate it. We'll do a little bit of business for the forum. Got a little bit of information, I think, about the deal exchange. Looking forward to hearing from Brent and Nessa. Ness, is that okay? Does that work?
Yep, that's okay.
That's okay. All right. And for those, I know Stan was the one that suggested we touch base with Brent and Danessa. And been a pleasure, honestly, guys, talking with the two of you and finding out what's going on, both the history and kind of what you got going, what you're looking to accomplish, I think. So kind of a dual story. And as folks know, I appreciate really great stories and great people. So we're going to have a very interesting presentation. I can promise you that. Let's see what, oh yeah, well, we've got vision, and this is about fostering transparency and trust among M&A community stakeholders, including owners, buyers, and service providers. It's been our mission for quite some time, building trusted relations, as the mission says. We're trying to get everybody together and enhance value for everyone. Got some fantastic sponsors. We haven't seen George yet. Led off by Johnson, DeLuca, Kariski, and Gould. George Kariski has been part of the M&A Forum really since its beginning, almost 13 years ago. So I appreciate his efforts over the long haul. In addition to Bob at Vincent and Vincent and the rest of the folks, we got Kyle on the line at Creative Heights. Done some super job. Those of you remember the old website, this is leaps and bounds. Brought us kicking and screaming into I don't know the 2020s, I guess. Thank you very much, Kyle. Appreciate it very much. Bob, you want to say a few words about what's going on business-wise? And then
I do. We are really excited to finally have our deal listing site up and running. So for those of you who deal directly in the sale or purchase of businesses, if you're a member or a sponsor, you can list your deals for free on our website. Just go there and click on the DealWorks link. It'll take you to the place where you accept our terms of use, and then you're free to put in whatever your deal is. We don't accept money raises for regulatory reasons, but any control transfer of businesses, either on the buy side or sell side, we welcome you. Please come and show them to everybody. Everybody in the world gets to look at our listings. So it's a good place to advertise what you've got or what you're looking for. Other than that, Mike, I think I don't have a lot to say.
Well, we got one new officer, right?
We do, yeah. We have Austin Tennant, who is now on the board and also our secretary and also absent today. So we can't give him the clap, but other than that, he's working in pretty well and kicking in, and he's been a real help to us for the last couple of years. So we're glad to have him on the board.
I appreciate Austin continuing his, actually increasing his efforts in the forum on behalf of the forum. He has been a real asset and well connected. And when I asked for suggestions for speakers, he has yet to fail to come up with one or two folks. So I appreciate Austin very much. In fact, I'm probably going to, it's Hector Enriquez, I believe, who is going to be speaking next month, thanks to connections with Austin Tonet. So mark that on the calendars. I think it's going to be the 23rd of March, if I remember correctly. So today, though, let's focus on today. We're going to hear about an opportunity sweet as honey from Brent and Vanessa Yaschuk. Again, thanks, Stan, for connecting us. Brent, as you're going to hear, is a serial entrepreneur, I think is probably the way to kind of characterize him. He's been both here in Texas and in Canada. He specializes, I guess, in building relationships, building companies, building marketing channels, and ultimately, in several cases you're here, as you will hear, he's been pivotal in some transactions, selling at different points in his career. And really, it's, I think most of it, I'll say, is related in a sense to oil and gas from an equipment and testing equipment side. So being part of SweetNes honey, that's apiary and Beetique. I love that. He has joined Vanessa in her quest to be, let's say, Queen Bee in Fort Bend. Are you in Fort Bend County? I guess you are in Fort Bend County, aren't you? Yeah. So fascinating in talking to Brent and Vanessa. Fascinating business. Never realized that all that goes on when you go to HEB and you pick up, one of their bottles of honey. There's just a lot going on, both to get that bottle there and in the business. So I'm going to turn it over to Brent and Vanessa Ness, and I'd like to hear about your journey here and what's going on right now. So I think you can grab the screen, can you not, Brent?
Let me see.
I think I may have to stop sharing. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. Stop share. There we go.
Okay.
There's George's phone. Hello, George.
Good afternoon. Oh, I guess good morning still.
It's still good morning.
Yep. Don't want to wish the day away. Hope everybody's well.
Can you see that all?
We can.
All right. We're set now. Who knew we'd be talking about honey
Yeah.
and bees, right?
Who knew?
Blows my mind. So yeah, thanks again for having us. An opportunity sweet as honey. Danessa, my wife, Ness, and I. Again, I would say she came up with the part SweetNes honey. And did I come up with the part Beetique maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I said boutique and he said it's a Beetique.
Yeah. Anyways, it's
so it's stuck.
It's a team. Yeah. Okay, so trust everyone's attending today got through our Texas cold snap. I do know about cold weather in Canada, growing up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, in the minus 40 degrees Celsius, where Fahrenheit and Celsius meet.
I was there for one of those days, Brent. It's no fun.
Were you?
Yes. I remember the hotel in the middle of downtown, and remember going to the elevator and the door was open, the elevator was not there. There was just water and ice flowing down through the elevator shaft. So
Wow.
Well,
just a beautiful day.
you definitely learn how to deal with that stuff in Calgary, but I've never lost 3 days of power. So, you know, that's an interesting learning experience. And so due to our electricity, heck, we thought, you know, Wednesday was the end, but we ended up getting power back on Thursday. So, you know, please excuse our imperfections in the presentation today. So our agenda, again, a little bit about before SweetNes honey, what I did. I don't want to focus on that too much, but that's just, we'll skim through it. How much time do we have here? What's the time restrictions? We're going to 12:15, right?
No.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
we've got about typically 30 minutes, and then
30.
uh,
Okay,
let us
good.
get some questions in.
Yep.
I have my
got it.
pen ready to ask questions. So
All right. Well, we'll get to the fun part here in a minute. Geez, how do we start this one? Life-changing water accident in 2005. So I had a successful business in Canada. I started when I was 22 years old, and found myself had a water skiing accident. I was a, you know, competitive water skier. Grew up water skiing since I was 5 years old. I was privileged to do that as a kid. And I bought a new tournament water ski boat, and ended up what they classified it as a moderate traumatic brain injury. So I have about a 10-millimeter dent in my skull on my left side. Was flown to the Foothills Trauma Center in Calgary via the Life Flight, which stars their ambulance, which I ended up working with them closely in the volunteering process, and learned what was important in life. Work was a part of it, but work was maybe too much of it. So my chapter 1, Concept Controls, I founded in 1999 with some partners. We started on a shoestring. Everybody, all my friends at the time were going to college. They said, Brent, you know, a barrel of oil is $9, right? I said, yeah. I believe there's some opportunities here though. And so I kept stressing that. We ended up acquiring a company in 2002. And my dates might be off totally, but you know, interesting how I found that company. I ended up making another sales call on a really good customer of mine in Calgary, and a situation happened, and I kind of was listening, and so going back to the office, and you know, ended up buying safety instruments of it at Edmonton. We became a really good partner with Ray Systems out of Canada, or out of California, based on gas detectors, and we grew that master distribution model to many other manufacturers. Had an office in the U.S. And in the business, we grew to about $18 million over 9 years that I was involved with it. And we were a preferred Canadian distributor for gas detection. I got out in 2008, left with a 7-year non-compete over time. And, you know, the big question is, why did I sell? Well, I had other priorities, I guess, in my life. You know, after having a traumatic incident in my life, you know, I found out what was important, and work kind of went down a couple notches. So I had to make some changes. Chapter 2, something new. I had an opportunity to work with a company as their international sales and marketing guy in Calgary after my accident. And I was kind of finding out in 2008 what I was going to do. 2 months later, Roger Campbell called me, and he said, hey, Brent, I heard you're out. And I said, yeah. Well, we're looking for a sales guy. I'm like, well, sign me up. So I told them about my opportunity I had with Factory Direct Safety, and they were okay with that. I had a story to go immigrate into America, and getting a work visa. I'm under an E2 work visa, and in America, all they want to know is the immigration people want to know is how much money you're bringing and how many people you're going to hire. How many Americans. So I had a really interesting story where I went to Vancouver and it got denied. I waited 2 or 3 months, and I went back and finally got approved. Started factory direct safety at the same time I was working with Nvent Engineering. Brought a brand from Mumbai, India, UNIPHOS detector tubes. Became one of the largest ion science distributors in the Gulf Coast, actually in the US. Sold calibration gases. You can see some lines of continuation there. And my wife and I worked together at Factory Direct and Ion Science in Stafford. So chapter 2 continues, and we sold the business to Ion Science. They were a manufacturer and still are of PID detectors out of Cambridge, England. I business here in Americas as their CEO. Rapidly expanded the operations in Houston, moved it from Vermont, right?
Mhm.
We moved from Vermont to Houston, Texas, in the oil and gas business. Grew our top line sales. Danessa was our accounts controller at Ion Science / Factory Direct Safety. Well, we're all a jack of all trades at this time. It was a great learning experience. I think the biggest takeaway that I had out of that deal was always understand the contract, because it was a long contract, and hire the right people, especially in a small organization. And Ion Science was was a small manufacturer.
Brent, did they approach you to buy out, or how did that conversation happen?
Yeah, their president actually retired, and so they were looking for a replacement. They wanted to hire me. I said, well, the only way that's going to happen is if you buy the whole company. And so that's what they offered me that, and I said, okay, well, that sounds good. Always like cash in your pocket for a while. And and so chapter 3, I work for a Canadian software business out of Calgary, a natural gas measurement business. And I always say, always networking. I knew the manager of this business out of Calgary, Brent, I forget his last name now. His name is Brenton. And he was looking for a new business development guy to kind of help him transition this acquisition from Gas Analytical that they bought out of West Virginia. It was their first acquisition. Critical Control was based in Calgary. My role down here was business development. And, what I've learned about that, any transition or acquisition under my belt was either you got to have face-to-face conversations in the field. You can't be on the phone talking about transitioning people and or buildings and or anything really. And then I learned how to work with a know-it-all CEO. And I think we're all know-it-alls to a degree, but he was the best at accounting, best legal team, best sales guy, best everything. And it was kind of like pretty deflating when you walk away from it. So in the background, I was already working on chapter 4 at UNIPHOS. And so I had brought UNIPHOS to America under Factory Direct Safety. And I didn't want to do it again on my own with my own money, my own tools. So I convinced the to come as UNIPHOS Americas, and we'll be successful here under their brand. I did that. I was their CEO for 5 years here in Houston. I actually opened an office in Sugar Land, so convenient to my home. UNIPHOS, UPL Corporation, they're called in India. They're a $3 billion company and founded by Raju Shroff. He's a fabulous man. His family, spent time with him and his family at his home in India, and would do anything for you. But he really got it started back in the 50s in the phosphorus business, like the aluminum phosphide, which is used for fumigation. But they've expanded. His boys run it now, and they're growing. One of the cool things that UNIPHOS that they were doing was company out of Germany, or based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. All the manufacturing was in Germany, though. There was a whole process there, but they they bought the MSA branded tubes. I transitioned that again from Ion Science to factory direct safety. Grew some sales with our limited resources as a small little startup company here in America. And we won a US Navy contract. Chapter 5, mPower Electronics, I decided that instead of keep running companies, I wanted to get back into sales and marketing heavily. And so I had an opportunity with my past in Array Systems in Canada. This fellow was put 20 years into Array Systems, had an opportunity to start another manufacturing brand. And so I jumped on the team, focused on North America initially. Global is opened a product center here in Pasadena. I found myself in Shanghai. I came back. I landed in Houston on January 18th, 2020. When I'm overseas and working, it's head down. I don't watch the news because in China, I don't understand it. Well, I might watch some, CNN once in a while, but usually it's early morning, work all day, late nights, and go to bed. And then COVID happened. So it was kind of a shock to everybody. And I was glad to be home.
You didn't do any karaoke on those late nights, did you?
No. Well, I went over there for the Chinese New Year as well. So I was there for a Chinese New Year party.
Yeah.
So
By the time he came home, everything had shut down just a few days after for COVID.
yeah, I'm very happy that I got home when I did. So the sweetest chapter is, SweetNes honey, established in 2015. We acquired a local retiring beekeeper in Bowling, Texas, just south of us, about 20 miles, in 2019. Worked with my wife on our individual strengths in the bee business, my sales and marketing, her creativity, the passion for the bees. And, she's my queen bee and couldn't be doing without her. So I'll turn it over to her to present her story.
Okay. Let me change slides.
Yeah, you just pushed it down now.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you. It's nice to meet everyone today. We are sharing a link here for sweetneshoney.com. If you want, go and save the link, and you can get our full write-up story of how SweetNes Honey got started. So as Brent was telling you, all of these business adventures that Brent has been on, I was there through most of them at his side. And we have started a family, grew a family, and I worked in the office with him quite a few times, and that was not always easy.
No.
So I was working with Brent in Factory Direct and also Ion Science as the office manager and doing the accounts payable, accounts receivables, basically a little bit of everything in the office. And although I loved my job, I was good at my job. We treated it like our home, our own company, our family business. We worked really hard together. It was something I really truly wasn't that passionate about. I felt like there was something else I wanted to do. And to kind of backtrack quite a bit, when I was a kid, I used to catch bees out in my yard on summer days in the spring, and I would catch bees and I got stung all the time, and it just was something I liked to do. I was fascinated about the bees, but back then I wasn't familiar with beekeepers and beekeeping. It just wasn't something that was really talked about very often. I'd never met a beekeeper. So it's kind of funny that I'm a full-time beekeeper now, fast forward many years later. As I was working in the office, I just sat up one day in bed and I told Brent, I said, you know what I really want to do? I want to be a beekeeper. And he turned and looked at me like I was crazy, like I had grown a third eye. And he just didn't know what. He just was not at all on the same page as I. And so kind of secretly, I just started reading up on it and studying, and bought some bee equipment. I joined the local Fort Bend County Beekeepers Association and started to attend the meetings. And I was quite surprised that there were hundreds of members at these meetings. I just kept thinking, oh, there's going to be like 7 people here. And there were actually a room filled with people. And so I found a mentor, and I started just trying to learn everything, go to do workshops, read online. And so I learned how to catch my first swarm of bees in my own backyard. I'd put up a bee trap and I caught a swarm of bees. And so I had the bees put up in my beehive in my backyard, and we lived in the suburbs, and I was officially a beekeeper. So Brent didn't know what to think. He just stayed out of the backyard. Before I knew it, my hives were growing. I continued to catch swarms. And then I had people in the neighborhood come to me and asking me, oh, well, I have bees in my house. Can you do a bee removal? And although I had never done bee removals, I said, well, let me take a look. And before I knew it, I was elbow deep in doing bee removals. And I did that for about 3 years. And it turned into quite a profitable business. And I learned a lot about bees and the reasons why they do the things they do. So doing the bee removals, my apiary was able to grow at a very rapid pace. And we started to figure out that we were going to need more space, and started to look into moving out into the country. Oh, there you go. So yeah, did you pause it? Okay. Sorry about that.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Do you want to
Continue, sorry.
Oh, am I doing this part?
No, just continue your story.
Okay, well, that was kind of it. So as of today, getting down to the bee business, we went from small time beekeepers to managing over 250 hives. So our business has grown quite dramatically.
I can't see.
So, okay.
So we're here we are. So we're managing our 250 hives, considered sideline beekeepers.
Uh-huh.
And, Nessa and I are really focused on producing Texas honey.
Mhm.
The thing about beekeeping is there's so many revenue generators coming out of the hive. We focused on bees, honey, then there's bees, there's pollination. You can sell honeycomb, you can sell pollen, you can sell propolis, you can sell.
There's so many byproducts that come out of the beehive.
Yeah.
When we first started, we thought, oh, well, honey, that's what we're going to get. But then as you start learning more about beekeeping, you realize there are so many ways to make money off of your bees. And that's from all of the products, of course, cosmetics, selling beeswax, education. We go to the schools and do educational presentations to elementary schools, any type of small groups. I've met with people in libraries, and people will pay also for these type of meetings because it's a great community outreach and a way to educate people the importance that our bees and our other pollinators are, how important they are to our food supply.
Right. And in the U.S., the U.S. business for honey, or the beekeeping world, is $766 million. And that number is actually came updated to me in a report in 2020 in August. So that number is a real number. The annual growth for the beekeeping business from 2000 for the last 10 years, 15 to 25, is about 2%. So it's pretty small, but it's continuous. And you can tell the different categories here. Honey is 45.6% of the beekeeping, And you see pollination is a huge right behind it as far as revenue generators.
Mhm.
And then the other products.
Do you actually move your hives around to different crop locations?
We have this year, Bob, where we got a small load of bees in California right now. So
For the almond pollination.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know almonds are a big deal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Well, that went by too quick. There you go.
My first day on the job.
Oh.
Okay, so the next one is some pictures. We just grabbed some pictures we liked of Ness in the bee suit. The top left one is really cool. Me in the background or ground.
I think it's you.
Flowers on the beehives.
Mhm.
We don't clean the beehives up that well around them, as you can see.
Well, there's not when there's flowers blooming.
Right. Tying our supers down to the truck. That's basically outgoing supers. So those are going onto the hive. So we use pallets when we have a forklift and we move them when they're full. A super weighs, that filled up with honey weighs about 30 pounds. So that was our helper this last year.
And 30 minutes on the phone.
And that's a close up of a queen bee.
Mhm.
And honey. So this was fun. Our first harvest of honey was approximately 3 gallons. So everybody knows what the gallon jug was. We filled 3 of those up.
And we were excited.
Yeah, and we had a manual crank extractor. We used a hot knife,
Mhm.
and we have to cut either side of the frame so you can put it in the extractor and the honey will come out, right? So we filled up a lot, 36 pounds. We were jumping up, and actually we still have 2 of those gallons. But this year we're moving fast, and now we're producing about 18,000 pounds.
I don't understand. If
So
you don't know what W want,
We've really moved up.
I don't understand. Thank you.
There's some background noise there. Okay, so Texas honey retails for about $8 to $12 on the shelf, depending where you go. And we sell our honey through our online website, 30 plus retailers in this area, on the west side of Houston. Sure, different farmers markets when we have time. And we just got approved late last year for HEB store, grocery stores. So we're really excited about that. So right now we're in about 15 HEB stores. Nessa, you want to tell a story about Sid Miller?
Okay, yeah. So as you see, the picture in the middle is my meeting with Texas Agriculture Matters with the Texas Agriculture Commissioner, Sid Miller. We were invited to go to Dallas, Fort Worth and meet with him and on the set of Texas Agriculture Matters and talk with him a little bit about our company and about bees. And that's going to air tonight at 6 p.m. So we'll have to share a link with everyone so that we can all see the episode. The first picture is one of our setups of our honey in a local HEB. That one is in Sienna Plantation, Texas. And it's a really good spot. We sell a lot of honey there. We're pretty well known in Sienna area. When I first started beekeeping, I lived in that area and that's where I was doing the bee removal. So everybody knows me there as the bee lady. So, yep. And then the last picture is also one of our other HEB locations. I believe we're in eight or 9 stores now, HEB stores.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting there. We're growing.
Ness, who's doing the, let me call it the marketing, promotional work? Are you doing that yourself? Or are you contracting? You working with?
Nope, we're doing it all ourselves. We basically are doing almost everything ourselves. From designing the logo, that's what I designed the logo, from our labels, everything basically that we've done. It's been
In-house.
Brent and I in-house, putting the brand together, creating it. And we've been really utilizing each other's strengths and realizing, okay, I'm not that good at, he's better at business than me. So I let him handle that. And then he lets me handle the creative and the, a lot of the designing of the retail stuff and social media. So
Yeah.
we definitely make a good team in that sense. But yeah, we haven't hired many people at all.
Oh,
Maybe a
well, but
little.
but you're
Yeah.
going into HEB, you're going to have to scale, are you not?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, we have plans and people in place right now for HEBs where we're not doing all the deliveries anymore.
Yeah, we've got some help with
Yeah.
deliveries and
So it's not an easy task, but there's a lot of opportunity still with HEB. So we're one of their DSD vendors. So we supply, when you see those people stocking shelves in HEB and they don't have an HEB, name badge on, that's me or one of our partners that we work with. So
yeah. A lot of the physical work, like not all the physical, it's not all the physical work, but we've hired like some of the high school kids around here to come in and help bottle honey or help out. It gives them an opportunity to make a little money, learn something new. I've heard a lot of them tell me that, wow, I didn't know all this. I didn't know anything about bees. This is really fascinating. So that's we do need help in that sense, but with the other things, we'll get there.
Yep, one step at a time. Pollination, again, another part of the business. We haven't done much pollination up until this year. But there's a whole circuit for pollination, and there's big commercial beekeepers with thousands, 5,000 or 6,000 hives that would be on these circuits to go and pollinate apples, blueberries, cranberries. West Coast and Washington State, they're everywhere. So there's pollination opportunities here, like for strawberries and stuff as well. You got to be able to mobilize them fairly quickly, get in, get out for like strawberries, those kind of things. And, you got to be able to focus on one of the two paths. We've picked the honey. But this year we did send California bees. And, it is the largest revenue generator. A large beekeeper would send maybe 15 truckloads. A truckload is 400 boxes. So if you do the math at 400 times 200 times 15 trucks, it's a big number. Now, there's a lot of cost in between the freight and everything else, I'm sure. We're happy that the boxes we sent for pollination. Great thing about that is we get them back and we get to split them and make more bees. So yeah, Nessa talked about a lot of the education and some bee tours that we've done.
Mm-hmm.
The education is really good with her, Girl Guides and different schools you've done.
Girl Scouts.
Girl Scouts, sorry. That's my Canadian in me, So yeah, the education part of it as well for presentations. We did really good on the Be a Keeper tours, but COVID happened, so we've kind of just delayed the start of that again. And we're planning to offer events for educational for new beekeepers, education on lots of stuff. So that's kind of another channel to make money, revenue. Bee supply, I'm a products guy, so that's kind of my world. Of course, Danessa and I, we work together on all this, but we want to be offering bee supplies. And so I signed up with a company called Beeline Woodenware at the bottom there, and they manufacture wooden boxes, frames, and what are we missing? Lids, bottoms, hive entrance reducers. We put entrance reducers before the cold snap to reduce the heat loss inside the hive. So those kind of wooden products that's what they make. And out of that relationship, I met a guy named Jeff Johnson, he started a company in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which South Dakota, North Dakota is the mecca of beekeeping. The biggest beekeeper in South Dakota is like 120,000 hives. So they're massive. But Premier Bees, they created a new technology in plastic bee foundation, and it basically allows the bees to draw out that honeycomb on the frame 36% faster. There's 10% more cells per sheet. So that means more honey, more bees. And so we're excited to be one of their partners in Texas here. So we're selling their products online, and we're using it ourselves as well, because you get more bees and you get more draw out time. So the bee supply business is really picking up for us. So, some of for growth that we have is, developing a destination for people to visit the farm to experience the bees at the source. See where their honey comes from, how it's processed, how we remove it from. People are interested in that. We get every year, and we're planning on doing extraction here, and the bees will tell us that when we're doing extraction, but probably in June, mid to late June. And we have a volunteer sign up sheet, so people want to come and volunteer and help us. We pay in honey, so it's a good way to get some honey if you want, some labor, and it's pretty fun actually.
It's fun.
You might get stung once in a while, but we have ways to deal with that. And we want to become a full service honeybee company. Of course we are now in that range, but we're not doing all. We're offering equipment, bees. We sell bees. We sell honey. Bees and tours and more. There's a lot of pieces that need to go into that. But the other growth strategy we see is there's a huge acquisition opportunity in the growth in the Houston area, because a lot of these older beekeepers that have got 20, 30, 40 years of experience, they want to get out. They're done. They want to retire. And there's really that's the biggest thing in business I've found is, I believe, very soon these beekeeping companies are just going to start falling from the sky, because these guys are just going to be done, or something is going to change in their life, and somebody needs to sell it and get rid of it. And, it's just going to fall from the sky. So, I think that's a huge opportunity for us to pick up some honey accounts, pick up more equipment, and maybe some knowledge as well. And we grew a lot with that knowledge that we got from Steve when we bought his company.
Just out of curiosity, guys, what's the major nectar generating plant in this area?
That would be the Chinese tallow.
Okay.
Yep, in our area.
Yeah, I grew up in Eastern Washington, and it was sagebrush, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And people don't realize how much that affects the taste
It
of the honey.
does. It definitely changes, and the color. Honey can range from practically clear as water to black as molasses.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really neat to see the different colors that the honey can come out just on what they're hitting at the time.
Yeah.
So, but right now the Chinese tallow tree is, and in our area down here in southeast Houston. So yeah, let's go ahead.
So some of the resources required to scale up and succeed what we're doing, is really, we've upgraded from our hand hot knife to an automatic uncapping machine. And you say automatic, in our world it's automatic, but in other beekeepers it's primitive.
You have to probably explain a little about the equipment. I'm sure they haven't seen some of the equipment. So the hot knife is basically what it sounds like. It's a knife that heats up. And when we pull these frames out, on each side, it's capped with wax. And you have to cut off that top layer of wax to let the honey start flowing. And then once we cut off the wax, we put the entire frame down into a honey extractor, and it spins around out all the honey, centrifugal force. So, and then we collect all the wax that comes off, and I render the wax, and we make candles, lip balms, cosmetics, lots of different. I have a lot of people that just buy blocks of beeswax for many different reasons. So it was a very primitive way of trying to get through our 200 hives with this hot knife. So we have finally become more automated with a machine that uncaps the entire frame on both sides for us, so we can just run frames at a much faster rate. So
that machine just does one frame at a time, where some of the big gigantic systems out there can do it 10 at a time type thing. So it works. And then we could upgrade to a deboxer, so that basically takes all the frames out of the box. Do it manually right now. Larger bottling equipment is always good. We've learned a lot about bottling honey and how to bottle it. Of course, a big equipment, forklifts, trucks, tractors, trailers, storage containers when we're storing more equipment to keep it out of the elements. Of course, land, buildings, refrigeration, storage to store our honey. Is best to store it at a colder temperature so that it stores better. Manpower, there's opportunities to hire staff from other countries to do a lot of the beekeeping work. And then, a real financial backer and backing to make sure all these things can happen. There's a lot of wheels that have to turn. So yeah, this is our end, but thank you for the time. We've left you with a sweet promotion. We have a promo code on our website, so you can get 5% discount until the end of February 28th, end of this month. And if you live in our area, there's free local shipping. And we hope you enjoyed the presentations, and we would encourage any questions you might have.
I don't know. I'm looking at the chat box, but let me see what we got here. That was on the back.
Just out of curiosity, have you talked to any financial backers at this point?
No, you're talking to them.
That's the question I had. Where the capital thus far, and where are you at in terms of, I guess, kind of being more specific about what it's going to take either to expand on the manufacturing side, or given the audience here, what it might take to do some of what I'll call the roll-ups. I think it's very interesting that you have a great deal of participation by people who've been in it a long time and who are looking for an exit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And those roll-ups, I've always thought I was going to be in some roll-ups before and doing some of those, but I think it's a good time to do some opportunities like that might feel like a roll-up. The bee business is really simple. A lot of including myself, we're pretty down-to-earth kind of guys. They're not high technology. We're the guys in the field that I know that might be for sale or willing to look or entertain another option. And then, having the vision and the passion of where to go. I think there's a lot of opportunities and different paths that we could take. But we have looked at other options. There are a few options that we've discussed with people for financial backing. So thus far, but nothing that we've taken off on. So
I put questions in the chat bar, or I could ask them now.
Sure.
Go ahead, Henry.
So where your 200 hives are located, how they are distributed, and also the $8 to $12 per pound, I guess because you have different grades. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So beehives are mainly located in Fort Bend County and Brazoria County. We do that for a reason because it's easy to go to. You know, we have 6 apiaries, 6 bee yards that we manage, and we could have more. We could just spread them out, but I kind of like keeping 50 or 75 hives in each yard, and some are smaller, 40. Some we have a home apiary as well, and it's only about 20 hives. So we do move them around. If that answers that question.
Yeah, you lease the land. You have leases on these lands.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
oh, man, it was kind of daunting to find out, hey, how do we get these bee yards? But it's amazing when you start talking to landowners, they want bees on their land.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a good thing. And you know, we do pay them in a honey that's detailed in the lease, so it's not like it's a huge money maker for them to lease the land.
Well, a lot of these people also get an ag exemption
Correct.
to place bees on for us to place our bees on their property.
Yeah.
So it's helping them out too.
Yeah, and we'll give them enough honey that they can have as much honey as they need to have, you know, for them to do whatever they want to do with it. So
yeah.
You got another question too?
Yeah, the one 8 to 12 per pound. Is it because you have different grades? Can you tell us more about that? Why the range of prices?
Oh, well, there are different grades, but typically I put that $8 to $12 range based on raw local honey. And, you know, you can buy honey at HEB for $3 a pound, $2.50 a pound. But it's not the same quality of what we're selling, raw honey, basically.
It's been heated.
Been overheated maybe to make it clean and not crystallize as fast or at all. Maybe it's been cut with something else, with corn syrup or other beet juice or something. And so, you know, and then you go to, you know, farmers markets, or you go to an HEB, you go to a gas station, you'll see different pricing from anywhere from, again, $8 to $12 is kind of the mean. Our pound of honey we sell online for $12. So.
How are you doing your back office at this point in time? I mean, you got inventories, you've got obviously chart of accounts, all that kind of stuff. How are you handling all that?
Yeah, we just run on a basic QuickBooks system. Yeah, it works well. We have a fantastic bookkeeper out of California, and they look after it online. We do, of course, the invoicing and, you know, input the invoices and some of the bills. We pay checks, but you know, it's a pretty simple process.
And you mentioned getting some staff from like Mexico, that or elsewhere that has its challenges. I guess maybe having come from Canada, you know, part of that process, but seems like that's going to be a good source potentially, but it does have its challenges.
Yeah, well, we have to put them up somewhere. That's stated in the immigration process. I think it's in H visa or something. I'm not really sure, but you know, I think that's one of the steps when we get to that level. You know, we could probably manage up to about 800 to 1,000 hives on our own. You know, maybe with one more person here locally. But when you get over that 1,000, I think you got to have a team of people, because you're going to have multiple bee yards. You got to be out checking them on a regular basis. And, you know, there's just a lot more stuff, a lot more equipment, a lot more bees. So, yeah, so it's.
You cannot find them here. I mean, why to go to Mexico to bring them? You cannot find them here, or here is more expensive it's going to be.
Yeah, I think it comes down to price. You know, haven't really researched it yet, but there is a lot of beekeepers now hiring them out of country. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the main reason, is the cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and just finding people who are willing to tackle that particular set of tasks, I would think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know I joke around on this, and know, a beekeeper is not too far above a ditch digger, you know. So, you know, basically what I'm saying is we're jack of all trades. We're out there, you know, doing it all. And, you know, there's not a lot of people who want to go and sweat in a bee suit for hours.
Right.
So
It can definitely be hard work. It's there's a lot of heavy lifting, and you're out in the sun.
Yep.
It's June, mid-June, whenever we do honey extracting, and it's really hot in June. And then plus wearing a bee suit on top of all of that, and having to carry heavy boxes
and these bugs that want to sting you.
and these lots of angry little bugs. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to find people that's willing to come out and
Sure.
help out and do the work. So we have a lot of people that contact us actually from other countries asking, hey, are you guys hiring? Can we come? Do you need any help? I have a crew. So we've had a few people reach out through emails and let us know,
Yeah.
but we kept telling them, hold on, we're just not quite ready, but
Not quite
we're
there
almost
yet.
there. So
How much training is involved when you hire a new person, and do you have to pay attention to some OSHA rules or not?
Yeah, of course we want, you know, I'm in the safety business, Bob.
Yeah.
So, you know, of course we're going to guide to heat stress issues. You know, when you're in the field, you know, have dehydration. You know, those type of things. Of course, we're safe about vehicles, driving, forklifts, all that stuff, type of machinery. So we have to be on top of that. But yeah, so training, we would prefer it was somebody that had a little bit of bee knowledge, keeper before. I did get approached by a guy. He was working at the HEB deli, and he told me he was a beekeeper in his country. I forget what country he's from, but he wanted to come in. You know, so he came out to the shop here, and we toured around. And he just got too busy. But I think, you know, he might be an opportunity where he has a passion for the bees. His family's in the bee business, so it's kind of one of those things. It's you get stung by the bug, and
Yeah.
you know, you're interested in doing more with it. So
we have people sign a waiver just so we can kind of keep ourselves covered, so they know, they are fully aware that these are stinging insects, and anybody, even us, could have anaphylactic shock at any given moment. You never really know. It's rare, but it does happen. We do carry Benadryl in all of our vehicles at all times. Normally it's just Brent and I, so we don't carry EpiPens, although we should. We are working on getting the EpiPen. So whenever we do have large groups of people, there's definitely going to be, we'll have those available for people in case of emergency. But we make sure that whenever we do go onto anyone's property, they are fully aware that they know that we're out there working. If there are homes nearby, we try to let those people know as well, hey, we're going to be working with the bees. So that way, once we get the bees stirred up, people aren't outside in their yards and getting stung. So we do take a lot of precaution when we're going out, but from OSHA, there's nothing that we have to do that's required by them.
We're coming up on the witching hour. Did somebody have one more question? We're coming up.
I have a question to Brent. I mean, you had a very successful entrepreneurial career before the bee business. You started all these companies around the world, and I think you were making big revenues, larger, I would think larger than what you are doing now in the bee business. So what happened?
Oh, what happened? Well, I'm still doing a lot of other contracts in the background, and so I can't stop doing that. But you know, my focus, I really want to help Nest get this thing to a level where it's, you know, self-reliant. And but yeah, I do have other contracts in the background that are in my space, in my world, that I can still get revenue from. So.
Well, thank you guys. It is fascinating. It really is. I guess the thing, if you give me the screen back, but
Oh, sorry.
where are we gonna go? Hold on, just let me pull this back up, share screen.
Yeah, while Mike's doing that, let me just add my thanks. This was really fascinating.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I
Yeah,
think-
it's definitely a fun business.
Thank you for answering the question. I have a question about the allergy, but I could ask after the event. I could send you an email or something.
Okay.
And let's see if this will work. For some reason, it won't give me that's that. Hold the shift, select. No, I don't want to select. Oh, I see. There we go. Okay. Again, thanks. It's like I said, I guess one thing that strikes me is you do have a number of growth opportunities, and Bob's the expert more in growth than me, but the notion that you can bring in the equipment side of it. And if you got the $770 million market, there's a lot of room to work in that, and you've got passion and you've got a lot of expertise, as Henry pointed out there. So I guess I'm hoping that you find the couple of keys that can allow you to take advantage and scale up, because I think it's a great opportunity. And so far you seem to be able to keep your relationships together despite the bees stinging you. So I'm impressed in that. So, thanks so very much. Final thought, particularly in this last couple of months we've been through, but something from Warren Buffett that used a while ago, but it's not, you're not right because other people agree with you, but it's because you got the right facts. And there's something very, very, very important, both in business and in society, that we all need to keep that in mind. It seems to be slipping away a little bit. I'll remind everybody that the 23rd of March is the next meeting. Let me just jump back to this. We got Arturo Enriquez from Business Action Now that's going to be talking. Bob, any final words? Lost Bob.
We are always eager to welcome new people into the group. Brent, if you and Ness would like to join us, we'd be happy to have you. Right now, since we're virtual, it's free. You just sign on and enjoy the
Cool.
show.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
And let's see, we can share the links. I guess, Bob, maybe through the website, right? Or Kyle. Okay.
Right.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All the way from Midland. Henry, thank you very much. And again, Ness and Brent, that was fantastic. Thanks so much.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See everybody next month.
Thank you.